This is the second example of whispered transcription. In example 2, we're going to select multiple files by selecting a folder. We're going to set the language and specify the size of the model. At least we'll use the medium model instead of the large. From our uCloud landing page, we can again just use the overhead search bar, or the top of the top panel search bar, we can call it, for whisper transcription. Go to applications and open the application. We'll give this job a title. I think we can just use the same title as we have for the video, which is a whisper transcription example 2, and it's going to be multi-file plus language and size, model size. And we can copy that and use it for the next one. Again, we can just select an hour. We won't need an hour for this transcription. We need to select the machine size again. We recommend the 16 core. And in the input section now, you still need to choose between either a file, a single file, or a directory. And in this case, we're going to use a directory. And if I select directory, go into our sensitive data folder, audio input files, you'll see I no longer have the use option here because I've navigated too far in. To navigate one level up again, you can just use this navigation bar, or this address bar, just above the files to select the sensitive data folder again, and you can see now our audio input files folder is here, and there's a use button option to the right. We click that use button and it will select that directory to provide all of the audio files from that directory as our inputs. The other thing that you noticed or you might have noticed from the first video, is that the lack of an output directory resulted in our output files being placed in the jobs folder. We don't want that, so we need to specify this output directory for the folder. When you're working with sensitive data, we recommend strongly that you always do this to make sure that your output always ends up in a properly demarcated folder. We can again go into our sensitive data folder, and we're busy with example 2, which is the folder we pre-created earlier, and we can just use that as an output folder. You can of course do this in your ongoing work as you discover that you need to create an output directory to place the file in. You can go and redirect to files. You can open up a new tab. You can hold Control down and click on that link, and in this section you can then go across into your folder structure and create a new folder while you wait over here, and then relocate back to your application and select the folder you've just created. We've pre-created these to make this a streamlined video, so let's carry on as quickly as possible. We said that we would do multiple files, and we're going to select the language for these files to output into. You just use the language parameter, just the same as you did with the output directory and with the input directory. It just brings up another dialog box where you can click a drop down to select the output language. I'm going to select English because I know that these interviews were predominantly in English, and that will be the language that the Whisper model expects to read or to hear. It does a fairly job of converting or translating other languages into English as well. We'll inspect the results of this once we're done. And here we can select the model size. And in this case, we're going to use a default model is large. We're going to switch that out for the medium model. You can choose the small or the base model, and you'll see that the accuracy of them changes. Once you've selected those two, we've decided that in this case, we're not going to provide a password. We're only going to change the fact that we're doing multiple files. We're going to select the language, the model size, and we've now, as we've noted for all sensitive data, included our output directory. And we can submit this job. And for the next example, I'm going to submit concurrent jobs to run with this one. As you can see, we are now on the landing page or our home directory. Example 1 and 2 are both completed. So let's go in and examine the results of our second example. Let's click in this recent run section on that title that we gave to the job. you can see by the green check mark or tick mark that that job is completed. If we go into this folder, very different from the initial job that we ran, or the single job with all default parameters, you can see that there's no out folder in this folder. So that job that previously produced all its output into our jobs folder has not provided it in this folder. Also, when you select a folder, while the job is running, there'll be a temporary folder here where you can see that there's something going on in that job, in something with files that are empty but have the same names, just as we had with a single file. But once a multiple job is completed, that folder should be deleted, as it is in this case. You can still open the standard out text, and you can see all the things that ran in this job. It ran a medium model on Whisper Audio 1, Whisper Audio 3, and then Whisper Audio 2, and it tells you how long it took for each of them. And you can see how long each transcription took. And because I know the size of those files, I can tell you that in the first case, this transcription was significantly shorter than the time in the file, which was around 7 minutes. And that only took 1 minute 26 to transcribe with the medium model. But I do believe that there will be some problems with the output quality because there was a significant amount of Danish in the original spoken language. In this case, we specified the language to be English and we specified the model to be medium. But you can't see the output files in this original directory as you did in the first one. So where are those files? They are located exactly where we specified them to go, which will be in our sensitive data folder and in example 2. In this folder, you can see that there are a number of files that have been outputted. There should be 8 per audio file, but all of those files are also included in that one zip file that we spoke about previously. If we open up our text file, you can see first of all that on all of the files that are outputted, there's an extension of _en for the automatic specification of English. Well, it's not automatic, it's automatically added because we specified manually that everything should be English. The model will always provide an extension depending on what it or you determines the language to be. So let's have a look at the text in this second one. If you have a look here, I'm fairly certain I didn't say rhubarb from the garden with vanilla citrus. Perhaps, maybe it's I do believe I did. We were talking about cakes. So that was probably in English. But I'm not going to get into the content. But this is what the test output, or at least the automatic output from the model looks like in the preview of the text file. You can see it looks a little bit messier than what it is in the actual text file because it's not taking into account the line breaks here. Let's go back to the folder and let's have a look at, say, audio number 1's text file and see how long that is. This is audio 1 text. You can see this is a little bit more structured. There's a bit more to it. It was a bit of a longer file. And you can examine the quality of the outputs in this. I'm not going to get into all the things we chatted about here. It was just a random conversation that a colleague of mine and I had to be able to demonstrate this. So back to our folder where we saved all of these files. And that's about it. This text file, or this zip file here, if you download it by clicking the drop down and download, you can simply download directly to your computer and open up. And depending on what software, or at least what operating system you have, it will need to be opened with an archiver or an archive program. That's it for the outputs of example 2.